21st of October 2025, inside the marble halls of Kyiv's parliament, lawmakers gathered for a vote that could reshape the entire trajectory of the Russia-Ukraine war. The air was tense, not from sirens this time, but from anticipation. When the results appeared on the electronic board, a wave of applause broke out across the chamber. Ukraine had just approved the largest wartime budget in its modern history, nearly 2.96 trillion hryvnias. That's roughly $70 billion US dollars, a staggering figure for a nation still under siege, a nation fighting for survival. This was more than a number on a spreadsheet. It was a statement to Russia, to the world, and to Ukraine's own people. We're not done yet. For perspective, this new $70 billion allocation makes Ukraine's defense spending equivalent to nearly 45% of its entire national budget. That's one of the highest ratios in the world. The budget isn't just about buying more ammunition or drones, it's about keeping the entire war machine running. Salaries for soldiers, medical aid for the wounded, rebuilding destroyed infrastructure, and maintaining energy systems that power the front lines. Since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022, Ukraine's economy has been on a war footing. Factories that once produced tractors now manufacture armored vehicles. IT startups now specialize in battlefield software. And ordinary citizens donate portions of their salaries to buy drones for frontline brigades. But this new budget is the most ambitious yet. It's not just survival funding, it's an attempt to transform Ukraine from a reactive defender into a proactive military power. According to the Ministry of Defense, the new funds will be distributed across several priority sectors. Air defense systems. Ukraine plans to double the number of air defense units protecting major cities and energy infrastructure. Systems like NASAMS, IRIS-T, and locally produced Skynight variants are part of that plan. Drone production and AI integration. The government aims to produce up to 2 million combat and reconnaissance drones in 2025, integrating AI-assisted target acquisition, artillery and ammunition. Ukraine is investing in domestic shell production to reduce reliance on Western supplies, targeting 500,000 rounds per month by mid-2026. Soldier welfare. A new Defenders Fund allocates over $4 billion for soldier rehabilitation, prosthetics, and veteran family assistance. Cyber and electronic warfare. More than $1 billion is directed toward cyber operations, protecting communications and disrupting Russian command networks. Western loans and aid. The G7 and EU have pledged over $50 billion in financial and military assistance for 2025, including direct budgetary support. Frozen Russian assets, perhaps the most symbolic source. Around $300 billion in Russian state assets remain frozen abroad, and the EU has begun transferring interest from those funds directly to Ukraine's defense and reconstruction accounts. That means, in a poetic twist, Russian money is helping to finance Ukraine's resistance. The implications are huge. By approving this budget, Ukraine is sending a clear message to Moscow. This war isn't fading away. Kremlin analysts expected Ukraine's economy to collapse under pressure by now. Instead, Kyiv has stabilized its currency, maintained tax collection, and even increased industrial output and by locking in a $70 billion war budget, Ukraine is telling the world that it's preparing not for months, but for years of sustained combat. To understand how unprecedented this is, compare it to history. During the height of the Cold War, the United Kingdom's defense budget never exceeded 7% of GDP. Ukraine's now stands at almost 30%. Even the United States during the Korean War spent about 14% of GDP on defense. That's less than half of what Ukraine is now dedicating. This isn't just a war economy, it's total national mobilization. But that commitment comes with a heavy cost. Ordinary Ukrainians feel the pressure daily. Prices for basic goods have risen nearly 15% this year. Energy blackouts are frequent, as Russia continues targeting power plants, and yet morale remains remarkably high. Ukraine's defense strategy in 2025 has become a hybrid between Silicon Valley and traditional military doctrine. Startups that once built delivery drones now work under the Ministry of Digital Transformation, creating AI-driven strike system. A new program called Army of Drones 2 pairs private tech firms with frontline units. They develop rapid prototypes, test them in real combat, then scale successful designs across brigades. It's the first time in modern history that crowdsourced warfare has been institutionalized. And with this $70 billion budget, that innovation is about to expand dramatically. Across Europe and Washington, reactions have been mixed. Supporters applaud Ukraine's resolve.
Gathered in the French capital to ensure Ukraine has what it needs to survive the winter.
Dans l'immédiat, Right now, the urgency is to support the Ukrainian people's capacity to resist. To allow Ukraine to go through this long winter, we wanted to organize together this conference called Standing with Ukrainian People, and we wanted the results to be very concrete.
Russia's missile and drone attacks on energy facilities have damaged every thermal power plant in Ukraine. Millions of people have just a handful of hours of electricity each day. Fixing this is a priority.
Support with power supplies could cost around 800 million euros. It's a lot, but the price is significantly less than the cost of the blackout for us in Ukraine.
Calling the budget a declaration of independence in financial form. Critics worry about sustainability. Some economists warn that Ukraine could face runaway inflation if Western funding slows down. Others question whether such vast spending can be efficiently managed without corruption. But what everyone agrees on is this: Ukraine's latest move fundamentally alters the dynamics of the conflict. It forces Russia to commit even more resources to sustain its offensive and pushes Western allies to maintain long-term aid pipelines. Within hours of the announcement, Russian state media branded the new Ukrainian budget as Western-controlled. But behind the propaganda, Russian analysts are alarmed. Moscow's own defense budget, projected at $150 billion for 2025, is already straining the economy. More than half of all Russian government spending now goes toward the military or security apparatus. With Ukraine doubling down and Western funding secured, Russia faces a strategic dilemma: match Ukraine's endurance or risk a slow economic bleed. That's why, in recent weeks, Moscow has intensified strikes on Ukrainian energy infrastructure, hoping to break public morale before this new budget takes effect. But as seen during the 2022-2023 winters, Ukrainians have adapted. Generators hum in basements, subway tunnels serve as shelters, and despite every missile barrage, Kyiv's lights still come back on. So what happens next? Analysts predict that Ukraine's expanded defense budget will manifest in several key shifts: increased drone and missile strikes inside Russia, particularly targeting oil facilities, rail depots, and command centers; greater domestic weapon production, including armored vehicles and precision artillery; enhanced air defense coverage, reducing the impact of Russian winter offensives; stronger negotiating position if peace talks resume in 2026. Essentially, this budget gives Ukraine the power to sustain a long war and to shape its end on its own terms. Yet behind all the figures and forecasts lies the human reality. Every budget increase means more mobilization, more soldiers sent to the front, and more families waiting at home. For the mothers sewing camouflage nets in Odessa, for the medics working in freezing trenches near Avdiivka, for the engineers restoring power lines under drone fire, this isn't about economics or politics. It's about endurance. And when the final vote passed in Parliament, lawmakers didn't celebrate with champagne. They stood in silence, remembering the lives already lost, and the ones who would fight tomorrow under this new funding. This $70 billion wartime budget is more than a fiscal milestone. It's the evolution of a nation, from desperation to determination, from chaos to coordination. For Russia, it's a warning. Ukraine's capacity to fight isn't diminishing, it's expanding. For the world, it's a reminder that modern war isn't only fought with tanks and missiles, it's fought with spreadsheets, code, and political will. And for Ukraine, it's a message of defiance that even after nearly 4 years of war, the fire to resist still burns as fiercely as ever. This is Tactical Signals, bringing you detailed analysis of warfare, strategy, and the technology shaping modern conflict. If you value in-depth reporting over noise, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and stay with us for the next update from the front lines of a war that continues to redefine the 21st century.